In its latest pre-budget announcement, the federal government is again targeting Canada's housing crisis. Ottawa wants to work with municipalities to fast-track the funding and construction of apartments. Some provinces, however, are not on board with the federal plan. There is agreement that it's unfair for young people with good jobs to be unable to afford a place to live.
The federal government is again targeting Canada's housing crisis in its latest pre-budget announcement. Ottawa wants to work with municipalities to fast-track funding and construction of apartments. But as CTV's Mike Lecouture explains, some of the provinces aren't on board.
It's not fair that young people who have a good job can't afford the place to live.
It's hard to argue with that statement, but provincial leaders do have a problem with the Prime Minister's plan to bypass provincial jurisdiction just to get homes built.
We'll be putting forward legislation similar to Quebec to be able to make sure that the federal government will have to work with provincial governments, or our provincial government.
Wednesday, the Liberals earmarked billions more for housing, including a $15 billion top-up to the apartment construction loan program. But some of these measures have conditions, including allowing the development.
Now I talk a little about it. Theatre of the absurd Canadian style. As the curtain rises on a classic drama of federal ambition clashing with provincial autonomy, Trudeau's gallant charge toward housing salvation with fourplexes as his noble steeds is met with Premier Ford's fervent roar of jurisdiction. They say comedy is tragedy plus time, but for those languishing in the purgatory of unaffordable housing, this political pantomime offers little reprieve. Through the federal lens, we glimpse a Trudeau-esque utopia, a land where young urbanites flourish in modern fourplexes. But there stands Ford, the stoic guardian of provincial sovereignty, challenging Ottawa's checkers with the checkmate of home rule. Governance, such a delicate dance. But let us remember, while our leaders tango a generation's dream of homeownership teeters on the edge of the abyss, it's high time we took a leaf out of Singapore's playbook. A dash of solemnity in our policy cocktail might just be the sobering sip we require. After all, in the grand scheme, housing is not just infrastructure, it's the foundation of national well-being. Can we afford the deadlock? Methinks not. To the barricades of bureaucracy, let common sense prevail. When the political coliseum is awash with the echoes of partisanship, oh, how the machinery of progress grinds to a glacial pace. Plagued by ideological tugs of war, the noble quest to combat our housing plight faces quagmires aplenty, delaying the march towards affordable living. Let's pull back the curtain on this great Canadian stalemate, shall we? Here we have policy proposals napping in committee chambers, victims of partisan pillow fights snoring away, whilst the funds to fuel construction lie frozen. It's a frostbitten ballet, where goodwill gestures of governmental grants pirouette untapped, tripped up by red tape. Innovation, that spry sprite, is left smothered beneath a blanket of bureaucratic inertia, stifled from injecting Canadian housing policy with a much-needed dose of Singapore-styled economic vigor. We envy those efficient city-states where decisions are sleek, policies vibrant, and action swift. A mirage to our sluggish stride in the housing dance. The long and winding road to reform trails off into a horizon of political pushback. My friends, our federal mosaic could stand a lesson from those fabled Singaporean shores where multi-party progress and high-tech housing schemes reign supreme. Yes, 'tis time we meld efficiency with empathy and architect our response to the housing crisis, not as solitary silos but as a symphony of Canadian collaboration. For in unity lies not only the might of policy, but the heart of the homeland.